Hey, what's up? Justin here and welcome back to the channel. Electronic drums are incredibly expensive, which is why I decided to make this really comprehensive guide on how to save money on Edrums, whether or not that's new gear or used gear. Now, of course, if you're willing to buy used electronic drum sets, that will save you the most money out of everything on this list. But I also want to cover how to save money on new gear as well. I realize that there are people that refuse to buy anything used, and I completely understand that. So I'm going to show you how to get either like a free gift card that's worth hundreds of dollars, free kick drum pedals and hi-hat stands and stuff, or just save a couple $100 on the purchase of your drum set. Now, to lay the groundwork for the rest of the video, I need to mention three things. The first is that there are scammers out there. I keep thinking that they're going away, and then all of a sudden I see a new scam pop up. I'll get an advertisement for an electronic drum set. The last one that I saw was an Unlisted Nitro Mesh. That drum set is $350. They were trying to sell it for $89. Turned out the website only had two pages, a home page and one page trying to sell this drum set. If you'd given that website your money, it would have been gone. There is an active group of people trying to scam people, and it's been going on for a few years now. The second thing I want to mention is that MSRP is not a good way to judge if you're getting a deal on this drum set. MSRP is the manufacturer's suggested retail price. That is a fake, really high price that makes the real price look good. You'll see the MSRP for this drum set is $6,500, and now they have a save 23% sign, and the drum set is now $5,000. What a deal. The problem is every website on earth is selling the TD30k for $5,000. It's not actually on sale. Now, the third thing I want to mention really quickly is something called map pricing. If you worked at all in retail, you might know what this is. It's called the minimum advertised price. So whenever a music store works out a deal to become a distributor or a dealer for a drum company, they end up having to sign an agreement or have some sort of unspoken agreement where they're not allowed to advertise a drum set under a certain price that is agreed upon by that drum set company. So unfortunately, because of map pricing, no website can show that they're selling a TD50K, for example, under $5,000. They might sell it for under that, but they can't show the pricing on the website itself. They'll make you call in. We'll talk about this later on in a different section of the video. Okay, so now that we've laid the groundwork for the rest of the video, let's talk about strategy number one for saving money on new electronic drum sets. Strategy number one is to buy a bundle. This is a really popular way to get free stuff with your drum set for the same price as a new kit. So sticking with the same website, let's take a look at a really simple bundle. Right now it's $5,000. If we press new with free drum throne, now it's $4,800 and you get a free item along with it. But I also believe this is a promotion Roland is running. If we go over here to Z-Zounds, they have the same sort of promotion running. If we go with free drum throne, now the price is lowered by $200 and you got the drum throne. The funny thing is, not every website is selling it for a lower price. If we go over here to sweetwater.com, now you got the drum throne and it's $5,000 still. So this is the kind of bundle that you would buy if you're trying to save $200. But what if you just want to get free stuff with the regular price of the drum set? Let's take a look at fullcompass.com. Right here, it's $5,000 with just the drum set. Right here, it costs $5,000, but now you have a second floor tom and a BT1 bar trigger. Let's take a look at craftmusic.com. Craft Music is really famous for their bundles. This is where they built their reputation, I guess. They're giving you a lot for this price. Craft Music is really good about that. Now, the second kind of bundle that you can get is, basically the full price of the thing, but with a free gift card. So this is a TD50 drum module, and they're giving you a $200 e-gift card to craftmusic.com. A lot of these websites also let you contact them by phone and work over the phone to make your own bundle, and then they'll give you a discount over everything. Now, here's the problem that a lot of people run into if they're new to electronic drums. They don't necessarily think that they have to separately buy a drum throne, a kick drum pedal, a hi-hat stand, a snare stand. They got to buy drumsticks. They got to buy some nice headphones. They don't see that there's an extra $400 worth of stuff that they got to buy. So a bundle will kind of take care of that and really give you all the stuff that you need to start drumming right out the box. We have one bundle that's just designed from the ground up to save you some money. We have bundles that give you free stuff. We have bundles that give you a gift card so you can buy your own stuff. And then finally, we have the last one, which is what I call a premium bundle. So this one costs $5,370, and you're paying a little bit more than the price of the drum set, but in addition to all the other stuff, they're also giving you the double kick drum pedal and a speaker. I would be careful with premium bundles, because what if you didn't actually want that exact kick drum pedal, but the price looked good, so it convinced you to buy it? I would work with them to make your own premium bundle, not necessarily buy one of the pre-made ones unless you really like everything that you see there. Let's move ahead to strategy number two, and that's to buy from a website that has unlisted prices for their instruments. Now, this is a way to get around the fact that they're not allowed to advertise the below map price. Instead of the price, they'll have a little piece of text that says add to cart to reveal price. Or they'll say call 1-800, whatever their phone number is, and then they'll tell you the price over the phone. I've actually called up one of these websites before back in like 2013 when I was originally shopping for a Roland TD30k or a Roland TD15KV. And I actually called them and I was asking about different prices and stuff, and they offer really, really low prices. Okay, so all that sounds beautiful and it does work when it works, but there's a big problem with it. Not all websites that use the strategy will continue to use the strategy for years in a row. I think sometimes websites will do this when they're small and they want to gain a reputation for, really low prices, and they'll work with you one-on-one. Wow, what great customer service. And then eventually sometimes they will drop the practice. So you kind of have to find a website that continues to do this. And in the research for writing up the script of this video, I couldn't find any websites that currently do this. But I think it's one of those things that comes in and out of fashion. It might be something that will work for you depending on when you're watching the video. Okay, so moving on to money saving strategy number 3, did you know that you could actually negotiate lower prices with the individual online music stores? And I think it's one of those things where you have to be spending a certain amount of money sometimes. I don't really think they can work with you and chop off $100 from a $300 drum set. There's no wiggle room for them to actually make a profit that way. But if you're willing to spend $3,000 on a kit, they might be able to go down a couple $100. You never know. Okay, so jumping ahead to money saving strategy number 4, you can build your own electronic drum set and spend hardly any money or go completely broke. This is kind of a complicated topic, to be honest. Now, the funny thing about conversion drum sets is that they usually start out really cheap and innocent. Oh look, I only spent $100 on this acoustic drum set from a garage sale. Oh look, I only spent another $100 on some mesh heads. The thing is, they're like black holes that suck in money over time. Eventually, you'll upgrade to a 3-ply snare mesh head. And then you'll start buying better drum triggers from Germany. And before you know it, you spent thousands of dollars on these. They're cheap to start out, but you'll eventually sink a lot of money in them over time. So I just wanted to warn you about that. There's different ways to go about converting an acoustic drum set to electronic. Here are some overall tips. Number 1, go buy an acoustic drum set that's really, really inexpensive. Don't spend more than like $200 on cheap acoustic drum shells. Next is go buy some drum heads off of eBay. Try to go with at least 2-ply, possibly 3-ply if you can. Now, when it comes to the sensors inside of your drums, which are called triggers, you have 2 basic options. You can either buy them or you can build them on your own. Let's talk about buying them first. The easiest way is to buy the ones that mount onto the rim of your drum. You can buy a whole set of Roland RT10s for like $100 used on eBay right now, or you can buy a set of like D-drum ones. A lot of different companies make these things. The better option is to buy the ones that go inside of your drums. UFO Drums makes some good ones. Drums makes probably the best ones that I know of. You also have Joe Becky, you have Diamond Drums, you have Stealth Drums make some excellent drum triggers as well. There's a lot of options out there, people that have already done the work for you, and I really recommend this route. The second way that you can go is just to build them yourself. It takes a really special kind of person to do this though, because you need to be willing to spend a lot of time on this. There's a lot of process of elimination, a lot of experimentation, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, reading forums, trying to figure out how to work everything. For me, I would get frustrated way too fast. I've only ever tried to make a trigger once or twice, and it's just not my thing. I'm not the DIY kind of guy. Now, this guy right here is an example of someone making their own drum trigger for not that much money and something that you'll get very usable results out of. So a subscriber named Andrew made this for me, really kind of him, and he actually sent this to me recently. The whole thing is basically this long bracket. You have 2 piezos, one for the rim, one for the drum head right here. You got a piece of foam that makes contact with the mesh head. I can send it up or down via this post that turns up and down. You can also move this post to be either side mounted or center mounted right here. And it's made for a 12-inch high tom. And this is a dual zone trigger. You got the input on the bottom. And really, this is just a really decent basic drum trigger that will do the job. You can make one of these if you want, and if you spend the time to figure out how to do this sort of thing. Now, while we're talking about conversion drum sets, if you want to have a rubber rim for this set, you could buy one that's pre-made from like Drums, from UFO Drums, from Drum Tech. There's lots of companies that make these, or you can get your own really, really cheap one made out of rubber fuel line hose from like Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards. You can buy those by the yard. It's a little bit more expensive than you might think, so you might want to shop for those online actually, but it's a cheaper alternative to rubber rims that you buy online. Even though I do recommend buying these because it's less hassle, and a black rubber rim looks better than a semi-clear one that you would buy from a home improvement store. Now, as far as the drum module goes, if you want to save money, you're probably going to buy something that's like a generation or two old. You can buy an older drum module, buy a $200 piece of drum software, and instantly have something that sounds as good as a Pearl Mimic Pro and better than a Roland TD50. Now, as far as trigger interfaces, there are a couple out there online, like the Edrums DDTI or the Unlisted version. Those two are actually clones of each other. Not really a big fan of that because it's really limited. It's got one input jack for the ride cymbal, so that means you're only going to get 2 zones out of a Roland ride cymbal. If you want to have a 2-zone crash, it can't be choked. Or you can have a 1-zone crash that is chokeable. Like, there's a bunch of stupid limitations with that thing. Now let's move ahead to the next money-saving strategy, which is to buy used. Let's take a look at the different types. The first is the refurbished electronic drum set. Maybe someone hit the screen with a drumstick, or maybe one of the cymbals went faulty, so the drum set got shipped back to the factory. They fixed the thing that was wrong with it, and they're reselling it for less than the cost of a new drum set. The next kind of used electronic drum set is the open box unit. This one is a little bit tricky to nail down. Different people seem to have different definitions for what open box is, but basically this thing has barely been touched. Maybe they, unboxed it to show the customer to see if they liked the way the shells looked. Maybe they put it in the window so that people could look at it outside and come into the music store. There's different reasons on why they have to open up a box, but they sort of pack it up and then they resell it. This can be a good deal sometimes, but I've seen some stores try to sell something as an open box unit for barely less than the new price. This one's going to be kind of on you to decide if it's a good deal or not. The next kind of used electronic drum set is the 30-day return. I've actually bought one of these before. I bought a Roland TD30k. It was used for under 30 days. The customer bought it, decided they actually didn't want the Roland TD30k, and sent it back to the store. I bought it for, $700 off the new price because it was a 30-day return. The guy bought it and barely played it, and then decided he didn't want it anymore. The next kind of used electronic drum set is the store showroom floor model. Stay away from these like the plague. There are only some rare cases where this might be a good deal, but most of the time these have been just used way too much. If a drum set was a car, this would have 300,000 miles on it, because in the space of a couple years, we'll have thousands of drummers streaming in, playing this drum set day after day after day. These are battered, beaten, and broken. They're just not worth buying. So I actually did buy one of these once. I bought a Kat Percussion KT4. The store said, "We think this works, but we're not exactly sure." So they sold it as an as-is on eBay. I think I got the whole drum set for $500 because I wanted the drum module. The drum module by itself was $500. So I thought, you know what, even if everything but the drum module was broken, I'd still be getting my money's worth. It turned out a couple of the crash cymbals were broken. And so yeah, it wasn't really that great of a buy, but I still got my money's worth, so I was pretty much satisfied with the purchase. Now, of course, there's always going to be exceptions to every rule, so there might be a rare case where this is actually a good deal for you, but most of the time you should probably stay away from these. The next kind of used electronic drum set is the private sale. This is where you'll save the most amount of money on this entire list. Literally, if there was one way to save the most money on an electronic drum set, it would be to go on Craigslist, go on eBay, go on Facebook Marketplace, and buy a used electronic drum set from someone in person. Drive to their house and get it from them. This is the cheapest way to do it because they've already spent their money on it. It's already depreciated in value. You can already negotiate to get even a lower price, maybe get a free drum throne kicked into the deal. There's no other way to save more money than to buy a used drum set from a person. Now, if you're looking for a list of different websites where you can find used electronic drum sets for sale, here is some of them that I would consider. The first is reverb.com. This website is just created for selling used musical equipment, so you can always find a good selection of used electronic drum sets on here. The only thing is that even though they got a great selection, they usually have slightly higher prices than some of the other websites that I've seen online. But take a look at them because they always have a good selection of E-drums. The next one is Facebook Marketplace. This doesn't always have the greatest selection. Sometimes you might even have to drive 2 hours to go buy a drum set from somebody, but this will have rock bottom prices. I bought a TD17KVX for $1,000, and when I went to the house, I asked him if he would include the hi-hat stand, and he did. So you can buy really inexpensive drum sets on Facebook Marketplace if you're willing to wait around and look. Now, here's the problem with buying used electronic drum sets online. Shipping prices are really expensive. A big electronic drum set can cost like $200 to ship sometimes. So either they are going to make you pay for the shipping, or they've already hidden the price of shipping into the price of the drum set itself, and they're offering you so-called free shipping. Nothing is actually free. So sometimes you can save a bit of money by buying from like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, where you can meet the person in person. Here's a couple of tips that I have learned over the years. The first is you need to ask for real photos of the drum set. A lot of times these people will just paste a photo of like the stock image. You don't know how worn the mesh heads are. You don't know if there's any dead pixel lines on the drum module. You just have to trust them. And that's not something that I want to do when I'm spending thousands of dollars on something. So ask them to send you some real photos of the drum set before making a decision to buy it, or even a decision to go try out the drum set in person. It's not worth the drive if you can see the drum set's in a really bad state. The second tip that I have is that when you're buying a used electronic drum set, you should stick with the well-known premium brands. Here are some of the premium brands that I would stick stick with. Roland, ATV, Yamaha, Drum Tech, companies like that are well known for build quality and durability, because if you're buying something that is a little bit less durable, it already has 100,000 miles on it, which means it doesn't have that much more life in it by the time you get your hands on it. But if you buy a drum set that's known for really high quality and being solid as a rock, you know that you can still use this a lot and save the money at the same time. And of course, the third thing is a given, but don't rush when you're buying a used electronic drum set. You need to do a lot of research, and I would give yourself at least a month or two. One way to see if something is a good deal is to go on eBay, type in the name of the drum set, and then sort by completed listings. That will show you how many drum sets sold for what actual prices. You can see one drum set sold for $900, $1,200, $1,000, $1,100. You can sort of take the average, and now you know if a drum set like that sells for $800, that's actually a really good deal. If someone's trying to get $1,300 for it, it's actually a bad deal. I would spend a lot of time thinking about what you need this drum set to do before buying anything. You know, everyone has a different need for their electronic drum set. They have different goals. Some people want something really compact that sounds nice. Then you need to shop for drum sets that fit that description. Some people don't care about the sound quality because they're just gonna plug the drum set into their laptop and run Easy Drummer. That's why you kind of have to know what you want before you start throwing money around. Some people rush into a buying decision and then they end up having to mod their drum set heavily because they literally bought the wrong drum set for what they actually need it to do. There's different drum sets for different people, so spend time thinking about what you actually need the drum set to do before running out and spending money all over the place. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in a few.